Hello, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome. Oh, whoops.
Hmm.
Welcome to Connecticut Common Sense. I'm here, Jason Douglas, once again with Selena Rifkin for yet
Hello.
another edition. And there's a lot to talk about today. First of all, well, let's get right into it. Last night, I've decided, Selena, we all know what you've done with the Ansonia
RTC, yes.
RTC, that
And
you've
I'm
gotten
not sure
your,
I've updated everybody on
yeah,
that.
once you update them on that, and then we'll talk about Coventry.
Yeah, so I got onto my RTC in January. I made sure that there was a meeting for choosing the delegates. That happened. The deadline for choosing delegates was March 1st. The meeting happened on March 1st. And
The last
it
minute.
was actually called by our state central representative, and that was good. And I played secretary because apparently there was a call that went out, and there were a lot of people who are very used to meeting in person and did not quite know what to do with the whole Zoom thing. I don't know. Well, during COVID, they were actually running the town, so they were meeting in person. But there were a lot of people who apparently had trouble with the Zoom call. But anyway, we got our delegates chosen. I am a delegate to the convention. I'm excited about
That's
that.
awesome.
That's going to be in mid-May. So hopefully we'll have another meeting before then. And I'd really like to, because I'd like to know who they would like me to vote for, because in theory, as much as I know who I would like to vote for, I am a delegate. That means that I'm supposed to listen to what, my fellow RTC members think. And if we don't manage to have a meeting, I'm going to vote for who I want to vote for. So that's kind of how it comes down.
Darn right.
Yeah.
Yeah, what like if they all say together, you should vote for this person, and you're like, oh, you kind of feel obligated, I
Well,
guess.
yeah, I mean it is supposed to be like the RTC is actually
You're
supposed to
representing the
have a
committee.
vote on who the delegates are going to vote for. I mean, that
Yeah.
is like, again, I'm acting as a representative, which means that whatever my opinion is, I may not get to exercise it, which is okay because that's how it works. That's how
Doing
representative
it right. That's how it is, I guess,
government is
right?
supposed to work, even though a Republican, the Republican town committees are not government, they're still supposed to be representative.
True.
So, yeah. But anyway, so
That's
that's
where Chris is running. He's in the third, right? In Sonia.
yes. Yeah, Chris Lancia is running. And I'm not even sure that anybody in my RTC is even heard of him.
Oh boy,
Yeah,
that's
well,
not good for Chris.
yeah, it's this is and we're gonna talk I want to talk a little bit, I want to hear about what you're gonna do, and then I want to talk a little bit about RTC culture and why the way happens in Connecticut is kind of problematic right now.
Well, I guess.
What's going on, Coventry, dude?
Well, before we get to Coventry, though, it's interesting when you talk about there's a convention in May, and we
Mid-May.
talk in mid-May, and then we talk
Yep.
about primary, and then in August 11th is the primaries.
Yes.
So that's a lot different than the way the nation handles it at the federal level,
Well,
because
this is
our primaries
so what
culminate
this
in a
is.
convention, right?
Well, every state has their convention and their primary at different times. Texas has already had their primary. Texas had their primary last
But
month
but on the federal level,
on the federal level.
the convention is the culmination of the primaries. Here we're
Um,
having our convention 3 months
right,
before the
right.
primary.
Yeah, it's a very strange system. And
So what is the purpose of the convention then?
the purpose of the convention is to choose the delegates for the Republican Party in
That are
Connecticut.
going to be on the ballot.
We're going to vote for who is going to be on the ballot.
Oh, that's
If
much different
there
than the
is
way they do it
not
federally.
majority agreement, or if the person who's running still wants to be on the ballot, then they have to go out and collect signatures. And there's a certain number of signatures that each kind of delegate has to collect. I think I can't remember. It's like if it has to do with population percentages.
Right. Isn't there like two thresholds, a small number of like certain officials or a larger number of the general population or something like that, right?
So you can get the appropriate number of delegates, which I don't know of delegate votes in
Yeah.
the convention, or you can go out and get
Get
a
the
number of
signatures of the people.
signatures of
So
people.
that's how DeBarros gets in. If he gets enough, he can
Yeah,
still
no,
get in
he
there.
doesn't get the delegate votes, and he's not. He thinks he might get them. So, but we don't know because
But
people can always say, yeah, I'm all for you, and then stab you in the back when they get to the convention. That's not unheard of.
and true, and even if you get the people enough signatures from the regular people to get on, you can still get snubbed when it comes time for the vote.
Well,
Right?
that's going to be that. I mean, then
The
it's up
primaries,
to A, the public, and B, if you can get enough votes, um, to like basically overwhelm the cheat, because they cheat in Connecticut. We know they cheat everywhere. This isn't, people talk about this, the election integrity thing. It's like, oh, Connecticut. It's like, oh, it's like we cheat. There's no point in going out and voting. Yeah, there is,
yeah,
because enough people out there voting will actually overwhelm
yeah, too big to rig, baby.
the big
Yeah,
to rig. And don't vote early, because then they know how many people they have to pull out. Show
yeah,
up at the polls,
right.
do
That's
your
good.
vote.
We should start really emphasizing
Because
that.
the way they cheat is that, especially, in Texas, I think they're using a different system. I don't know exactly what they're doing. But over the course of the election, it's much harder to change this, to change the votes, if everything happens on the same day, because you're ramming it down their throats.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to try to do in Coventry what you did in Ansonia. So that's two. We got 167 to go.
Oh, there's others. We have,
Yeah. So,
we have some MAGA people in Norwich. We have people in oh, I'm just Guilford.
yeah,
There are some, like Shelton is actually a pretty solid.
starting to grow some inroads here a little bit. That's
Yeah.
good news. Um, but last night in Coventry, they had the Lincoln Douglas dinner, which they do in a lot of RTCs have an annual one. A lot of the RTCs have an annual one, right?
Hmm.
Coventry had one last night, and I attended it
Okay.
as a journalist, not a paid diney.
Hmm.
Watching everybody eat was kind of hard. I was really hungry, but I did not partake in the food and cheat and
Poor
all that.
Jason.
I almost
Well,
grabbed a dinner roll,
you
but
know what? You're working on your health. You don't know what was in that.
you're right. And a lot of it was I can't eat pasta anymore. And there's a lot of it was
Oh
pasta.
God, no, 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 don't do that.
I've cut back on my pasta like a lot, like 95%. Really good.
Good.
Yeah. I'm doing great. Ever since March 15th, I've really, that's a whole nother topic for another day. Maybe at the end of the show, we get to that a little bit.
Right.
But at the Coventry RTC meeting, they had the Lakeview restaurant in Coventry last night. We'll give them a little plug. It's a cool place. It goes right on the lake. I mean, you literally, it feels like you're eating right on top of the water if you eat on a certain part of that in the banquet room. It's pretty cool. So I went there last night, and I got to tell you, all three gubernatorial Republican candidates were there.
Okay.
Aaron Stewart, Ryan Fazio, and of course, Betsy McCoy. When I got there, Betsy was already there.
Hmm.
And she was doing it. And within about 5 or 10 minutes after I got there right at 6, supposed to be from 6 to 8 plus, right? I got
Hmm.
there exactly at 6, and Betsy was already there by 5 after 6. I couldn't believe it. I was just getting settled in and like taking up a spot to film. I was going to film people coming in. And I hear, oh, Betsy McCoy. I hear Betsy McCoy making a speech.
Okay.
I was like, wait a minute, already? It seemed like it was just God. People were just coming, just getting. It was there's a lot. Everybody was kind of there, but there were people
Mhm.
still arriving. I was
Right.
like, wow, that's awful early. So I went in and I taped her speech, but she's standing there on the stage making a great speech in her usual red dress. I got to ask her if she has any kind of dress that's not red. But behind her is the American flag, great, and then there's a Fazio poster and a Stewart poster.
Mm.
No Betsy poster. Wah, 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 wah. But she made a great speech. It was a lot of stuff I already heard, and I like the issues she's espousing. But they didn't. I don't feel like they. I know she came in late, a little bit more late to the game, but I
Mhm.
felt like it was a little bit of a. I mean, they couldn't set a little something up for her too.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Fazio and Stewart did their speeches after dinner when everybody's got their undivided attention
Yeah.
and they've already had their eaten,
Hey.
And she's making a speech where people are, still finding their tables and getting settled
Yeah.
in, and there were people that were already there, seated and starting to drink, and there was a lot of alcohol being consumed there last night, by the way. If I had more battery power, which I'll talk about in a minute, then I would have stayed and watching all the drunken politicians, see what came of that. That would have been kind of fun.
Yeah.
Technically, I was in a private restaurant, and anybody, anytime, that could have said, "Turn off your thing and leave," but nobody
Mhm.
did. And there
Yeah.
were other couple people that were videoing, but mostly just the speeches. I was the only one covering the entire event, really.
Right.
And I did meet Erin. I said hello to her, and she at first she looked at me like a little strange, and then she figured out who I was,
Right.
and she went,
Well,
"Oh," and she
it's always that, if you've been interacting with somebody on social media and then you meet them face to face, it's always
Takes a few
that's
seconds,
normal.
doesn't it, before you? Isn't that the one?
Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's you, right? Okay, right,
So I've direct messages with her on Facebook a lot, trying to get her on this show, and she's talked about doing it, and she kind of ghosts me,
right.
and then I said some things about her online. I don't think I think she's a phony conservative, if you really want my opinion about it. And she heard me say that, and court feels the same way when we do our
Mm,
DT. We bashed her a couple times, but we do agree that if she gets nominated, we're going to stand behind her. I mean,
yeah,
it's better to have her than Ned Lamont, but I don't see her as a reformer in any way.
right.
We need a reformer, and she's not a reformer. That's my problem with her.
Yeah.
But when she's looked at me, she felt like she was like, oh, like I could tell she wanted the conversation to be over with quickly. And so I let her off the hook. I said, hey, it's good to have you here. Look forward to your speech, and kind of walked away from her. Like I knew she was,
Right. Not
I did the
entirely
same.
comfy.
Yeah, not too comfortable. I just said, well, good. You're not supposed to be comfortable when you're a politician like that.
No, no, you're actually not.
No.
You're
So
actually not. You have no right to be comfortable if you are serving as a politician. And
that's
that's part of the problem of what we have is like it just, most of these people are just a little too comfortable.
right, and that's the whole point. That's the price you pay when you decide you want to have the notoriety and the fame of being a leader, being a politician. That comes with the territory, the pressure from the public, the
Mhm.
hard questions, the
Yeah.
bashing them.
It's
If you're
about
falling short, you're going to get
service.
hit for it.
Yeah, it's not about notoriety. It's not about, what you're going to be doing once you get out of office.
No,
It's not supposed to be about
not
that.
supposed to be about
Sometimes
that.
it is.
But I did the same thing with Fazio. I went up to him and said, and he
Hmm.
was actually very professional. The guy looks like Clark Kent, man. Let me tell you,
I
this dude
know.
looks
Oh
like
my God.
Clark Kent standing in front of that American flag.
I'm sure that's deliberate.
I was waiting for him to
I'm
go
sure. Yeah,
whip up
I'm sure that's
Superman.
deliberate. Yeah.
We could do a cool ad for him if we were supporting him for governor. We could do a cool ad with him, like with a phone booth, walking around,
You know,
and
give it
so
time, it might happen. It
he
might
sure looks the part, man. This dude.
happen.
Let me tell you right now.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced. I know there's people that we like a lot, that think he's great, and I'm not convinced that he's anything more than what the. Well, you could tell me what you think about it. I'm pretty sure that he's
Yeah.
the chosen one for the Uniparty, like you mentioned.
Well, I think that in some ways it's like, I mean, everyone talks about the uniparty and that the Connecticut GOP is, and we all know this is a dead horse. Everyone knows that the party is not doing a good job. And there's a couple of different reasons for that. And
Well, I think there's one main reason.
well, I'm not just going to blame Ben Proto.
Been compromised. No, not
Yeah.
personally Ben Proto, but it's been compromised
Oh yeah,
by the likes of Ben Proto and others.
right, right. I mean,
But I know
it's
Ben
like
Proto is not the only
certainly.
reason.
I
I've never
mean,
said
he
that Ben Proto is the
come
only
into
reason.
office, until well after this. He didn't come into his position until well after we got the Democrat supermajority in Connecticut. He's only been in office as the chairman of the GOP for a few years. We've had this Democrat supermajority for almost 10 years. So this is like obviously something that's been going on for a long time.
I got a prediction. I think Fazio is going to be the next governor.
Um, I I I think that's probably a pretty reasonable prediction.
Meant to keep the MAGA people quiet and still thinking they've
Yeah,
got their guy. A lot of them, and not. I'm not fooled by it, but
right.
a lot of our MAGA
Consider.
friends and family are gonna think this is great. We got a Republic. We got one of our guys in there.
Well,
And you
the
know
thing
what else
is
I
these
noticed?
guys.
It wasn't just the three gubernatorial speeches, but there was also
Hmm.
lieutenant governor,
Right. Good.
secretary of state, all different positions, including George Austin running for Congress in the
Okay.
second. They
Good.
all made speeches, and only one
Hmm.
even mentioned Donald Trump.
Hmm.
And when they did, they apologized. They said they had to. They felt like they had to qualify it. Let me just
Yeah.
mention the President Trump for a minute here. Just allow me to mention this man for a minute or two.
Yeah.
And then they proceeded to talk about Trump for a minute or two, and then they were off it. I find this despicable.
It's very frustrating
That's
that
the uniparty
it,
at best.
yeah, I think it is the uniparty. I don't, it's like I certainly there's certainly plenty of people in Trump in Connecticut who have Trump derangement syndrome. That's fact.
The Republicans, though, Jesus.
However, has anyone done a goddamn survey about, how the average person in Connecticut feels about Trump? Is this the poison pill that it's being made out to be? It's like this
Uh,
troubles me because this is the assumption that was made.
you
And
and I have been to the Cadillac Ranch. You,
it's
you
an
and I, and anyone's been to the Cadillac Ranch knows
no,
that's
that
not true.
like yeah, that there's a lot of people in Connecticut who are big fans of the president. I'm a big fan of the president, and I voted for, I'm a first-time Trump voter in the last election.
We're
But
talking millions of people in Connecticut, over a million people in Connecticut.
there's like yeah, so it's yeah, so
We only
I
have
think
three,
it's
so I can't
not the
say
poison
millions,
pill
but
that they're making it out to be.
yeah.
Um, but we know it's generally known that the Connecticut GOP has a big country club mentality. That hasn't come up lately in the conversations because we've been very focused on getting people in to help break up the
Yeah.
jam. Um, but it's still there. It's absolutely still there. And I don't know how much of that is people who are just taking advantage of the political position, because the way the party works in Connecticut is that, and most states are actually organized. The state GOP level groups are organized by county. Connecticut is one of the few states that are organized by town. And I'm gonna look that.
That's true. It's really New England,
This is
generally New
not
England.
common. This is
It's new.
not
It's in New England. New England goes by town. Everywhere else is by
a
county.
lot
Even
of,
in New
yeah,
York, they go by county.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is, this
The
is,
New England thing.
but the thing is that it does, and this is something that I even heard from, from inside the GOP, that it's like, oh, every little town is its own little isolated thing. So, all right, so is there any plan to do anything about that? Because it's really hard to do something. Now, I have my town bylaws.
I think town government, town
Not the
centralized
town
government is
bylaws,
better.
but the Ansonia GOP bylaws. They are dated, and this is stamped by the town clerk. 1986 is the last time that these bylaws were amended in any way. Um, and there's a whole process for amending bylaws. You have to have a two-thirds majority to even
Sure,
consider it, and that's fine. Bylaws shouldn't be that easy to change.
that's true.
That's okay.
Unless
But
you're bad at Brody, you can just change them at a whim. Apparently.
well, you don't have, if you know how to, if you
See?
if you know how to get around, because and this is I mean, in theory, you're not supposed to be appointing your delegates. They're supposed to be
Right.
chosen
Voted on.
by vote by and how all that works. It's like, but we know of at least two towns where they just like randomly appointed delegates, and with any luck, at least one of them is getting fixed. But
I wonder what the bylaws of those towns say.
yeah, that's an interesting question because it's such a mix of, in terms of what you're allowed to do. It's the town bylaws go first because I thought I was in error. I thought that the state level bylaws superseded the town laws. They do not,
No.
which again doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But you know what? There's arguments to be had either way. Someone can
Well, if I'll tell you what, if people were behaving under the auspices of the Constitution, then it would make sense. It'd be better to have more local control,
yeah, ideally.
But when people don't and they cheat, that presents a
But
problem.
here's the problem with this, the way it's running right now is that my town, I was very happy with how my town was run, super happy. And the Republicans had been in a Democrat majority town. Republicans were, in charge for, I don't know, I think 16 years. They've been running this town. And it's like it's a pretty tight-knit group of people. They didn't have any meetings while this was going on. And this is considered normal that if your party has won the elections, because your job, and it says like in the bylaws, their job is to pick people to run the town. There is really no mention for, it's like, yes, you have to choose delegates to that, but it's not really any consideration for the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
It's very, very tunnel vision around the town. And it's like, okay, so this is how we end up not having any interactions with anything bigger than ourselves. And this is a problem. This is a problem. It's like, no, because we need to be able to band together. And it erodes our ability to work with the other human beings in the other town in order to achieve a greater goal. And
Yeah, it's
and we
also the
have to
lack
deal
of.
with that. We
It's
have to deal
also
with that.
yep.
I
I
mean,
know it's a
the
problem
Democrats do it all the time.
because it's they use hypnotic and brainwashing
Not
techniques.
even that. I mean, they when you go
That's what
into
gets people to
Congress.
do the they don't stray. You know,
Well,
they're kind of
there is that. There's going to be people who are susceptible to that. But consider when you go into
Democrats.
Congress as a Democrat, the first thing you do is they shuttle you into these, new representative classes, and you are immediately told that you have to raise $100,000 for the party every year. That's part of their job as a Democrat representative. I don't think Republicans are doing that.
No,
And we don't tend to like get into the fundraising thing. And the Connecticut GOP has set it up so that, it's like everyone who's run, did you get any help from the party? No, not a bit of help from the party.
right.
Why is the party here? It's like, what is the party doing to get candidates on the ballot? Obviously,
They're,
not damn much.
no, they're doing everything they can not to do that.
And
Actually,
it's like, well, we can't, the higher ups are like, oh, we can't do anything because the towns don't talk to each other. Okay, well, I can agree that the towns need to talk to each other, that people in these, it's like we got to communicate with the other people in the other towns so we can team up.
so at the end of the day, it's really if this doesn't all pan out, we all end up living under communist rule or whatever. It's because of us. It's our fault. We're not taking advantage of the democracy. It's what it is.
Yeah,
In other words, when we say go to flood the RTCs, that's what we mean. If the
yeah,
RTCs have 23 members and 4 or 5 of them are sympathetic toward us and the rest of them are a bunch of jukes, well, if you get in there and over a period of 4 or 5 years, you get 7 or 8 more of us in there.
yeah.
And suddenly the tide has shifted, and then it takes time. Democracy takes time sometimes,
It
and
does.
eventually you only have these old
One of
rhinos are fewer in number, and you can kind of shout them out after a while.
one of the things I want to say about these bylaws is that I was reading through them. They are incredibly dependent on people, just local people, being involved in the party.
Because they were at one time.
Bylaws, it's like, oh, if you want to, it's like, oh, we could change the bylaws by having, 500 people or a representative sample. And it's like, I can't even
Can't even get
imagine.
9 people in a room. Forget about 500.
Yeah. That's
No, I
like,
get it.
wow. Okay. Yeah, it's very, this is from the 80s. It's very dependent on individuals being involved.
They were more back then.
Yeah.
And you know why?
And the
Because they
internet.
thought it was benign to get involved back then. Now people worry about repercussions.
Oh, there's all sorts of reasons. There's
Right.
all sorts of reasons, and you got
So,
to
but
figure out what your reasons are for not being involved and overcome that. And it's not just about, I'm just saying that these are the current problems that we have to deal with. And it's more important. And the reason, sometimes you hear the argument, it's like, oh, we need to start a new party. If you start a new party, you then have to get the ballot access that the Republicans
yeah,
already
it's too much
have.
of too much of a task to get a
It's
new
too much
party.
of a task. And you still have the same engagement problem that hasn't gone away just because you start a new party.
Exactly. And the Democrats will try to infiltrate your new party as well.
Yeah, and it'll be easier for them to do that.
If you want to call it the Freedom Party, they'll be Finos instead of rhinos.
Yeah.
You know what I think we need are dinos.
Dinos. Yeah, well,
Democrats should
there
name
you
them one.
go.
Why don't we do with
Absolutely.
them what they do to us? Why don't we send some schmuck people go in there and pretend they're them and start smacking up their world a little
Because
bit?
we're not that good at it. Because
I
we're
could do
not so
it.
good at faking as
I know I'm not too good at it either. Actually, no. If I wanted to be an actor and go undercover, I could do that.
I couldn't. I
I
couldn't.
could be an actor if I needed to. I don't like doing it because I like to be genuine. I don't like to be.
Uh,
But if I needed to help save this thing,
I
I
would
would.
not.
But
I
everybody knows who I am.
would
People
not.
know who I am too much. It wouldn't work. Cozy up to Ben. All of a sudden, he'd be like, "Yeah, okay, buddy."
Right.
That wouldn't work. Do you
Yeah.
want to hear a funny thing though? At the thing in Coventry, while I was waiting there in the beginning, and then, just to say, I know she came in late, but Betsy got the shaft.
Yep.
They had her speaking in the beginning when people are arriving, and but when Aaron and Ryan talked later, everybody already had dinner. It was all quiet. They were the
Right. They were
They were
ready for it.
featured.
Typically, that's when you have speakers is after people eat.
Right, right.
So yeah.
So, but anyway, there was a cake. It was very strange because the cake was sitting on one of the bar platforms out in the open. This huge cake, all by itself, and I'm staring next to this cake, and it says on the cake, "Happy birthday, Mr. Chairman."
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so I spaced out, okay? I was like, "Oh my God, Ben's birthday and he's going to be here." I'm like, "Oh my God." I'm like, "How am I going to handle this one, you know? Am I going to be polite? Am I going to make a scene? Am I going to play it halfway? My mind is scrambling and scrambling. I don't know what to do." And then I realized it's
It
the
wasn't that.
chairman of the Coventry, the guy John, I forget his last
That
name.
that's definitely bad.
Not, I'm like, "Oh, phew," you know?
Well, you know what, it actually kind of drives me nuts that the Connecticut GOP announces and has a party for Ben Proto on his birthday.
Yeah.
Like it what what
Now I ask myself what I would have done if it had been Ben and he had showed up and they're all honoring them. Would I was like, maybe I'll make a scene, get kicked out of here. We'll get some views. We'll freaking, what the hell? But I got off the hook on that one.
Oh,
But I thought I know that, and Mary, I mean, I thought Betsy kind of got the shaft because I know she came in late, but I feel like she got a little bit more equal treatment there. And I don't know who puts up the stanchions that say Aaron and Fazio and big letters. And I don't know if it's the RTC that does that or if the campaigns do that individually.
yeah.
I know there's a $75 charge for the meal, so obviously that money probably gets divvied up between the candidates somehow, right? I would imagine after it pays for the dinner,
I
or
don't
maybe it's just the dinner expense. I don't know.
I that's probably
It's not really a
I
fundraiser.
don't know what the fundraiser there was for.
Yeah, okay.
What
And
it
they
was
had an
actually
auction. They
raised
had
for.
this stuff they were selling off, and what. Marion Turner was there.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
Ben wasn't there, but Marion Turner was. She had a
Uh-huh.
lot of people. She's a lot older than I thought. Like she looked a lot younger just last year. Actually, I think she aged a lot. Maybe I aged her a little bit when I balled her out on the phone.
Yeah.
Anyway, she looked a little older, but I was gonna go up to her, but I just decided to leave her alone. She was
Mhm.
surrounded by a lot of people anyway, and I was worried about my battery power. That was embarrassing that my battery power was getting low, and I unfortunately cut off in the middle of Fazio's speech. Not that he said anything that worthwhile anyway, but
Well, I
it was
mean,
a little embarrassing.
I think he has some good ideas for, getting some energy into Connecticut, and I hope
Yeah,
that they would actually work. That would be nice. But the reality is that it's going to take a lot more work on our part to get the rest of the legislature back. Governor is one thing, but we need to get the legislature.
we could just get.
We have a there's a Democrat majority in the Senate. There's a Democrat majority in the Assembly. It's like we need to get representation,
We
and
could just flip 2 or 3 seats in each chamber. That's enough to get rid of the supermajority. The
that would
supermajority is very thin.
yeah, but we've got also got to get people to run. So it's like I don't know how many seats there are, we do have we've got some good MAGA candidates who have thrown their hat in the ring. I know there's somebody running for the state legislature in Washington.
Yeah, we got to fill 40 blank seats from last time, though. That's a lot.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a lot of, I mean, that's a lot of holes to fill. And
Even if you don't, even if it's a deeply Democratic district, still, we should just have a name in there,
something.
like just to do everything they can,
Yeah, there
you
should be
know, just
something.
to get the word out. Because even if they don't win this particular election, that would plant a seed for the next one a little bit more
Yeah,
too.
well,
You
it
know,
does. It plants a seed.
democracy is a progression. It's not all chapter and verse.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
people do have to get involved.
yeah.
This is not, what's his name, Chris Corey
Mm-hmm.
said it best. He's like, I'm here talking. This is not normal. These are not normal times.
No, no,
Like it used to be. This is a real serious threat.
yeah.
And these guys that are running around the green red wave is, in my opinion, a bunch of suits and people in regular clothes and suits running around in our chambers and our media and all these places in our schools too. And
Well,
they're no
say
different
what
than
you mean
soldiers.
by the green red wave. So
Yeah, they're no different than the soldiers in green uniforms. They're here to destroy our country. They're here to take our kids and indoctrinate them against the country. They're here to facilitate a trans invasion. To take away the most fundamental thing that makes us one of the what do you think, Selena? I would think one of the most fundamental things that makes us human is our gender,
mm,
and you take that away.
I would actually use the word sex.
Okay, your sex, or yeah, I know you have some
Yeah, I
terminology.
do. Yeah, because
Okay, your sex or your gender or whatever. What makes you a man or a woman? Essentially, that is
your
probably the first and
chromosomes,
foremost. Was it
chromosomes.
chromosomes?
You got an XX or you got an XY.
That's right.
Okay.
That's really it. And so by trying to blur that by pretending that there's this civil rights movement for transgenders, and it's pretend, and it's evil, and it's disgusting, and it's meant to tear us apart at the core and enslave us. Really, the less pride we have in ourselves, the less
Mhm.
personal identity we have in who we are, then the more and at the same time, the more we become enslaved. And at the same time, they pretend to be all about men and women. So they're talking out both sides of their mouths. They do identity politics.
Well,
You
yes,
know,
that too.
it's a real threat. So people need to get involved. At the very, like I always say, at the very least, I know. I listen. I know that a lot of people have, even the most competent among us, have a lot of trouble managing their own lives. There's so much pressure. You have
There
to live
is.
on two. George Austin talked last night about returning to a one-income household
Yeah.
so that we can strengthen our families
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
take care of our kids. One parent has time to take care of our kids.
Yeah. Yeah. They don't
Why do
want
we have
that.
kids running around rioting? Because there's latchkey kids everywhere, and parents aren't doing their own thing.
Yeah.
That's why.
They're unsupervised
Unsupervised. Yes, that's right.
yeah.
And so they don't. It doesn't mean you have to have your ride on your
In
kid
a
every
bad
minute.
way.
Right.
So, yeah,
Right.
it's one thing, the way we grew up where you're outside running around until it gets dark at night during the summer. And that was just like eat dinner and you go back outside again. And
Yep. Remember, the fight is between the state and the family. Okay. The
yeah.
state is the deep state, basically, evil and bad. The family is good and wholesome. And the things that the state does are attempting to. They won't say it on TV, but
They're
it's an
like
attempt
it's
to break
like
up your family.
it's
There's a
like
reason why we had one income households in the 50s and
yeah.
70s, 40s, and now we have two. Sometimes not even two is enough.
Right. Well, the more money people make, the more housing prices can go up. So of course they do. But there's a reason, Jason, there's a reason why I call this politics with a Polyticks.
That's right. Keep
I'm going
talking.
to
I'm gonna let
spell
my
it
cat
that
in
way.
while you're talking.
Yeah. And it's like because, the government wants to suck all of our blood out of us.
Yeah, enslave us
Yeah. And it's
by
like,
nature. Come here. Come on. Come on,
what's going
buddy.
on with that cat?
He wants to come in. Come on.
Ah,
You know what? He always wants to come in the window that's there. She is. This other window we have here that doesn't open.
of course.
She's always putting her face in that. And you know
Hey,
what?
hey, open
And
this
you know what?
window.
The cat
Look.
always wants. Lenny is so smart. She wants us to keep the window open all the time, so she can go in and out. And she plays these little games to try to get that to happen. Like she'll go to the window. We open the door or the window, and she'll get halfway through, and she'll stand right in the middle of it, and look at us like we're like, no, 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 you're not getting away with that. Occasionally, if it's a nice, dry, beautiful day, like on a top 10 type of day, we'll leave the thing open for her for a while. You know what I mean?
You
But
need a kitty screen door.
yeah, yeah, we could do that on one of the doors. The other one, I don't know. We could do it on one of the doors.
Right.
But but she stares right there. She knows, but she's smart. Like, she'll do all kinds of. She'll still half of the window. She'll pause. Like, come on, you can leave it open for me. Like, no, we can't. Not right now.
No, no, we don't like bugs in our house.
We
Thank
don't
you.
like bugs in our house. We have a ladybug invasion, by the way.
Those probably aren't actual ladybugs. They're
They're ladybugs,
do they?
complete with the little black spots. One, two, three, four, 12. They're
Yeah, no, there's
ladybugs from Ladybug Picnic.
no, there's seriously, there are these beetles that look almost exactly like ladybugs that aren't actual ladybugs. And yeah, so you'd have
Even
to
with the little dark red and the little black spots and everything.
yeah. Yeah.
Jesus.
Well,
Ladybug. It's like fool's gold. Fool's ladybugs.
yeah, so I don't know. You have to look up and see which ones are the real ones
I
because they're
just
like
know.
they're like false ladybugs. Because I've got
Interesting.
a ton of those at my mom's house. It's like and they like winter over in the
I'm
frames.
going to put this one under perception as reality, okay?
All right.
So,
So
yeah,
yourself.
I got to tell you, though, my whole life, growing up in Connecticut, my entire life from Connecticut, we never, very rarely ever saw a ladybug. And
Hmm.
if we did, it was considered good luck, you
Right.
know? And I
Right.
think I saw two or three my whole life, really. And then one day I was 27 years old.
Hmm.
It was a Saturday morning. I was living in Bolton. And I woke up one morning and there was like 75 ladybugs all around me. I thought I was dreaming.
Wow.
I was like, I did one of these. I was like, I'm not taking any drugs. What is going on here? It was the weirdest thing. Like, what? I mean, it'd be like, I don't know, something I thought was rare, and all of a sudden there's 80 of them there. I was like,
Right. Right.
but anyway, we're getting off track. The point is, get involved in Connecticut, help fix this state, and join your RTCs. I've decided I'm going to join just like Selena did in uh, Ansonia. I so am now going to do in Coventry. I'm going to join their RTC.
Good.
The chairman, I did introduce myself to the chairman.
Okay.
I wished him happy birthday. Did not eat a piece of his cake to my credit. Now remember, I'm working on the diabetes
Good.
here, so
Good.
no
Good
cake.
man. Good man.
Yeah, I ate nothing there. It was really good. I was really surprised. I usually manage to put something in my mouth at a gathering like that. But I will tell you, for the first time since I started going to these political events, which is about 16 months ago now, more than that now, almost 18 months ago. For the first time, I felt kind of small, like beneath.
Mm.
Why? Not because of anything I was. Well, first of all, I think it was because I was grossly underdressed.
That
Now, most of these events I go to, there are suits and ties among the group, but there's others that are just kind of dressed casually. Everybody had a damn suit and tie at this thing. I mean, pretty much.
yeah.
You know, I was the only dude that had a baseball. I couldn't find another baseball hat in the whole place.
Mm.
So now I've always known that as this news network gets going and we start getting more professional, I also have to step up my game a little bit. I've always been
Yes.
known. I've always thought about substance over style. So I
Uh,
don't really like being comfortable. I don't really care about how I dress that much. But I realize that I still feel like it's substance over style, but style isn't zero.
right.
It counts for something, you
I'm
know.
glad you've noticed
It's
that.
on the board in the playing field. I don't think it's as important, but it does have a role. So we're gonna have to. I realized last night I was like, man, like I almost went
You know
home and
what?
changed, but I didn't want to miss anything, so I stuck it out. But
Yeah.
me, Peter Lamage, and I ran into each other in the parking lot on the way in,
Hmm.
and he's running for Secretary of State, I think. No, yeah, Secretary of State, I believe.
Hmm.
Now, and this guy dresses to the nines.
Right.
And Peter Lamage knows, but he's one of the guys that ghosted us on the show, isn't he?
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, he is.
I think
He
so.
we talked about the ones that have ghosted us. Um, but anyway, he and I do get along. He's a good guy, and this guy's always dressed to the nines, right? This guy had like a $700 suit on, right? We're
Right.
walking into just the two of us walking across the parking lot toward the bar and the restaurant and everything. And hey, how you been, Peter? Blah blah. But we're talking a little, about politics and everything. I'm like, I gotta tell you one thing, Peter. I said, when it comes to the wardrobe, dude, you got me beat, man. You got me beat on that one. He's like, don't worry about it. We're having fun. I'm like, oh, I'm not worried. We're just having a good time. The two of us walking together laughing. I'm dressed like a bum. He's dressed like, $700 suit. It's kind of funny. But yeah, I do have to step up my game a little bit. And I am going to join the Coventry
You
RTC.
don't have to go with suit all the time, but
No, no, no. I'm
you
not going to
do
wear a
have
suit. Believe
to,
me.
you have to just a notch.
No, no, no. I'm not far. I stopped wearing my pajamas in public at least a couple years ago.
Well, that's good. Start. You
I
were
used to go to
wearing the
work in my pajamas.
bathrobe on the show for a while, dude. I'm glad you kind of stopped doing that.
Yeah, I used to serve subpoenas in my pajamas when I was back in the day, 22, 23. I used to ride around in a t-shirt and I put on like a
Well,
shirt like this still,
well, no one's gonna be, no one's, it's not
no
like,
one cared. They're getting sued. They don't care.
right? They don't care what you're wearing.
They must sit down in their living room afterward and read the paper. And they wait a minute. Did I just get served by a dude in fucking pajamas? No, no, no. I didn't see that. But anyway, there's a lot to do this year. I have to dedicate almost all of my time and energy to common sense news and entertainment here. That's what really is gonna, I think, do the most, where I can do the most good actually, and getting the word out and whatnot, and having a real news network that tells the real stories,
Yeah, we just,
gets to the bottom line of everything. Talks voter fraud, things like that are going to get exposed. And but again, I also want to protect myself too. I don't want to get squished like a bug in this thing. So before I come out with all these crazy stories, I want to make sure there's
you, you,
backing.
you need some of your own infrastructure.
Yes, and it's happening. And it's slow but steady, but it's happening. And there's only one step away, folks. Get ready, guys. Just stay tuned. Subscribe to us.
The
Be one of
mail,
the people on the ground floor end.
the bureaucratic process of delivering all of the appropriate information is not fast.
That's true. If you're into a career change, or if you're a journalist, you want to into investigative journalism. I have a cousin actually. Her name is Garrett
Hmm.
or Sinland. I'm sorry, Sinland. She's like a distant cousin. Garrett and Seth's cousins are both. I get confused. And she used to be on Channel 61 News. Actually, her name was Sinland, way back in the '90s, I think,
Oh, okay.
'80s. Yep. And she ended up getting involved in a lawsuit or something like that.
Hmm.
And now she does photography. So almost if I can find her, get her involved too.
Maybe.
So this is really about team building as much as anything.
Yeah.
So.
So we're
I hope I can do. I really hope that by the time we get to the last 2 or 3 months before the November elections, that we really have a real ramped up thing going on that's
Mhm.
really getting through and getting a lot of people seeing it. That's the
That
goal.
would be good,
So like July, maybe August.
right?
August probably. July is probably not too realistic. August would be good. But and of course, hope to see a steady progress between now and then too. Not
Mhm.
just not status quo, but just a slow growth that culminates in something like the billboard. I guess the billboard.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the launch. If I were opening a restaurant, that would be opening night.
Mhm.
The billboard. So that's really the goal. If I get the billboard out by middle of August,
Mhm. I
that would be
know
great.
that so there is, just so you guys know, there is a campaign to fund an electronic billboard. I'm not, I remember, I know it's around Hartford. I think they
Yeah,
decided the one around Hartford was the way to go.
yeah, we're in on that. We're putting in on that.
Yeah.
So
So that the idea is that it's an electronic billboard and that it will have a series of messages, one of which will be an advertisement for Connecticut, common sense news for common sense news and entertainment.
right,
And but it's also going to be I think the Wolfgangs, the Family Institute will probably have some, information up there. And what they'll do is it'll keep changing the information. And it will be, conservative messaging that people have not seen in Connecticut.
right.
And so it'll be, I mean, there are some, certainly there are some conservative billboards out there. I mean, I've seen stuff for, please do not abort your child, come to this, come
Issue oriented, single issue
it's
oriented.
a single issue, but this is going to rotate and and it's pretty broad base. So
And there'll be links to actual show podcasting where people
yeah,
can link
yeah.
in
So
and receive
stuff that if you're a passenger in a car,
real news in Connecticut. Real news in Connecticut.
yeah, so QR codes, that kind of thing. So
Yeah,
please don't do it if you're driving. If you're the driver,
yeah,
do
no,
not
don't do it.
scan the QR code. But if you have a passenger, you can ask the passenger to scan the QR.
My particular ad will not have a QR code on it. I don't think chances.
So,
But there will be links to our podcast that will eventually be on multiple social
I
media
mean,
sites.
the nice
It's a YouTube channel is ultimately what it's going to be.
searchable, just,
Yeah,
go on YouTube and search it. That's why I tell people it's like
yeah,
it's T common sense.
yeah.
Search it. You'll find it. It pops
We'll
right
get
up.
there. We're going to get there. There's no stopping us.
Yeah.
But the thing is before I can put up a billboard, I have to obviously have something to. Right now, what we have is great, but it's not billboard worthy.
Right. So,
You know, I'm not going to put up a billboard that says "tune in," 2 hours a week. Well, Court and I are doing this every night too. So right now we're filling about, but it's not on YouTube. It's on Facebook essentially. Mostly what we're doing with Court. So it's scattered and sporadic right now, but we are putting it all together. And
it's a
ultimately, we
process.
are looking for a full time
Mhm.
audio video visual monetization engineer that would work closely with because obviously we need a driver too. By the way,
Mhm.
so
Okay.
if you want to drive me around, be my driver. We're looking for a driver eventually. I figured out today I need a driver
Okay.
because I'll tell you what, a driver will allow me to do. Right, one of the major problems I have in time management right now is I am running a. People forget I am running a private investigation firm.
Hmm.
That
Yeah,
takes a lot
you
of
have a
time.
job.
All right, and people say, why don't you do both? Well, I do both, but when
Right.
I'm on one when I'm driving myself and I'm doing one, it's kind of hard to shift
Yeah,
around.
this is very unwise to film while driving.
It
Very,
isn't wise to film while driving for sure. Now I
very
have a thing where I
unwise.
can mount my phone, so I can do it while I'm not. I can do it hands free.
Hmm.
But and I have my Joby, which helps with that. But yeah, I'd rather have somebody else. I mean, it's not about me filming me, but I
Hmm.
like to film outside when I'm driving the scenery rather than my
Yeah,
ugly face. So
right.
it's better. And then, but it's more for when I'm out of my car,
Hmm.
and it's more for logistics. So in other words, if we can just leave it, because when I do my job, I'm bouncing around. We're not just going to one place for the day. We're gonna be maybe 8 or 9 different places.
Right.
Some days we might spend all day at one place. It just depends on what we're doing. But I noticed that time in between the places, if I don't have to actually drive, I can I can do so much. I
Right.
can work literally in my car while I'm going from place to place,
Right.
set myself up, and easily then bouncing back and forth between what I'm
Hmm.
doing as an investigator and what I'm doing with CS&E.
Right.
Whereas now it's kind of like I'm doing one or the other. It's kind of hard. I can break off and do the other one, but I have to stop, pull over. Like I did this one where I covered the scene in Windsor the other day. I had to
Mm.
stop, pull over. It took like an extra 15 minutes to like shift into the next gear. But if I
Yeah,
had a driver, I could like do all that. And then the driver could double as a cameraman and get out. We have two cameras going in places and things like that.
right.
So there are the positions that for now are mostly volunteer and for eventually for monetization for commissions you can work, but they will translate into paid positions, actual paid positions, actual good jobs even. And at some point, um, think about it this way. Wouldn't it have been cool if you're a sports fan? Wouldn't it have been cool if like back in 1978 or 79, you were helping Chris Berman and Bob Lee and all those guys working on ESPN when it was like nothing, nobody ever heard of it, it wasn't on the air, it was just a bunch of
Mhm.
like this is right now, and you actually were one of those dudes that was like part of it when it got started. That's where you could be here because we are going to be big at the end of this. So anyway, it's coming because our content is great, isn't it? It is. It's great. We get down to it. Like Court and I have talked for hours and hours about the war in Iran.
Yeah, that's a
The intricacies of that are crazy. This is the first real, in my opinion, the first real just war that we've had since the Hitler,
yeah,
since World War II, I think.
yeah, I agree. Well,
And
I
even
will say, Jason, I will say that Korea mattered a lot. Korea was big. Uh,
yes,
because it's like South
but the
Korea,
way that
what
war
we did there
started
was
was so
actually effective,
the way that war started was so suspect, though. The way that war got
Um,
started, you know.
yeah, yeah. But the fact that we were there and it was, it
Yeah, it
was
was important to
not
come out on
Vietnam.
top.
It was not Vietnam.
No, it wasn't as bad as Vietnam at all, but it was still didn't have to happen. And even I would argue that the Pacific theater in World War II didn't need to happen either. Franklin Delano Roosevelt did everything he could to provoke the Japanese while going on TV saying, "Hey, we're neutral." So he
Right.
was kind of a pig like that.
Poking 'em.
Frank FDR, he ain't so great.
Oh yeah, he's
The Hitler thing was legit. We had to deal with that. That
yeah,
was a legitimate thing. But the
absolutely.
guy wrote a book in 1929 saying, "Hey, I'm going to take over Europe and enslave the world," and nobody listened to him.
And the only one who actually read the book,
Yeah, Churchill.
Churchill.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the only one who actually read the book. It's like if someone says they're going to do something, maybe you should take them seriously. Oh, they didn't mean it. Yeah, they did actually mean it. Yeah, they actually mean it.
The problem is, Rush Limbaugh used to say this. He used to talk about American exceptionalism, right?
Yep.
And that is true. We are exceptional in terms of the way we treat people better than almost any other society in the history of the world, essentially, in terms of allow people to determine their own future, allow them social mobility. Someone who has nothing could build up and become great and have plenty of, have great luxury or whatever. They can move up and down social classes
Hmm.
based on your merits and what you can do, not your who you know or who you're related to,
Hmm.
right? So American
Merit-based
exceptionalism,
society, and this is, yeah,
yeah, American exceptionalism is something that if you grew up in America like we did,
right.
it's sometimes hard to understand or see. You
Yeah.
see, it's just like as everything. A lot of people think the rest of the world is just like us. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah.
Not true. And what happens is they don't understand that we are exceptionalism means exception to the rule.
Yes.
So the rule is dark ages, despair, communism, oppression of
Hmm.
people, slavery, economic
Poverty.
disparity. That's the rule of the world, and we are the exception.
Hmm.
That's why it's so important that we save this country
Yes.
from the rest of the world, which is trying to tear it apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why Muslims, I'm sorry, but you're losing me, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're losing me. Because if I was a member of, okay, I grew up, my mother made me go to Sunday school in the Congregational Church, the Protestant church in Vernon.
Hmm.
And I went to every other week. I went there to Sunday school. Thank God my dad pulled me out every other weekend, and didn't have to go every other weekend. But um, let's imagine. Let's just say I stayed with that church and become a member, and they go and they sing, and it's fine. I'm not against religion, by the way.
Hmm.
Religion's great, but what if the Congregational Church of Vernon had a death cult that went around and murdering as many people as they could, and
Mm.
bombing and killing and maiming people?
Right.
Right? But I'm not taking part in the bombing or killing or maiming or anything like that. But I'm still in the church. I still throw my quarter or my dollar in the offering every week, and
Mm.
I'm still participating in the cult in the religion that's doing this. That makes me just as freaking guilty.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if you're participating in Muslim prayer, Muslim this and that, and contributing to these mosques and doing your thing. while these people that are in your corner were going around swearing death to America, killing people and bombing and killing Jews and whatnot, then shame on you. They're not much better. Shame on you. Get a
Well,
hold of your freaking thing. Your cult.
if people in Germany had spoken up, I mean, there were plenty of people who were looking at what Hitler was doing and saying,
Oh God, what's this? Yeah,
like, no, I don't think I'm going to say anything because, and some of it was out of fear. Jordan Peterson has this whole thing that, and it's easy to find. It's all over the internet where he talks about how, everybody and when people think about Nazi Germany, they think they would have been the person saving the Jews, and the chance statistically, no, you wouldn't have.
no.
No, you wouldn't have. It's like, I mean, it's like people tend to be tribal. We go along with the herd. It is, I mean,
Even if it's bad,
yeah, even if it's bad, I mean, it's human nature. So
maybe I should. Maybe I was in the.
definitely fighting human nature in order to, I mean, there is always going to be that percentage.
Maybe I picked the
It was
wrong
like,
profession. Maybe I should have
yeah,
been a drug kingpin or something.
yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, in the COVID shots, actually a really good example of that. It was like 15
Yeah,
20% of the population did not take the shot. That means that at least 80%, maybe 85% of the population
did.
bought right into that.
Yeah, that's terrible. But you know, you can use the
So,
Democratic Party today as an example of that too, where there's probably still the majority of the registered Democratic voters probably are relatively reasonable people. They just don't want to speak up against this far left wing swing that's taking the party over.
yeah. Yeah, there's a good chunk of
Grow
that.
some chutzpah, will you, people? Jeez.
Yeah. And it's yeah, and it's hard. It's really hard. I get that. But,
But the thing is, it's not that hard. It's like a break. It's hard, but when you think of the fact there's probably more people who don't agree with you that are just as afraid. It's like that Revenge of the Nerds thing. Well, I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd too. Wait, me too. We all speak up. We're all nerds. Get out of here, you jocks. That's kind of what it is. Like you'll have to kind of realize there's strength in numbers. You all stick together. That's why we say go to the RTCs and get together and have we all get together at the dinner table and say, yeah, this is bullshit or whatever. Let's all go to the RTC together next Tuesday. Yeah. That's the kind of stuff that has to happen.
Yeah.
You know, do something about it. Stop having beer at the bar and bitching about it.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about how you change the culture, and I had an interesting experience this weekend where, my stepson had a birthday party, and we were in a restaurant with my husband's ex's kind of side of this is all up around, Groton, New London area. So people that I have met, including his, well, I'm going to leave that one aside.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all people. It's some people, some of whom I've met, some of whom I haven't. It's his ex-wife was there, which I'm totally friendly with her. It's fine. Um, and the person sitting across from me was somebody that who I had met at a funeral I'd been at. And she was happy to see me. And Allison my husband's ex was asking me, it's like, oh, what are you doing? I was talking a little bit about the RTC thing. And so the person across from me, um, I mentioned that I was involved in, it's like I was keeping track of the election integrity stuff. And I just told, and she was like, but that's not very much, isn't it? I was like, oh yes, it's very prevalent in Connecticut, and I rattled off the numbers of it's like, oh, there were 243,000 more votes certified by the Secretary of State than exist in the voting record, and I talked about that a little bit, and then come to find out, she had attended the No Kings rally, and she'd been to several. And it's like, you know what? She was like totally nice. And it's like, this is the kind of thing. It's like we stopped talking any kind of politics and casual conversation. And I think part of the key with this is to be able to um, take a little step back when we talk about it. Take a breath. It's like, oh, how have you been? What have you been doing? Oh, I've been doing X, Y, and Z. And like today, I was like, oh yes, I have to go do my podcast today. And
Mm-hmm.
just slowly putting these things back in the conversation, like it is a normal thing that human beings do. If
Yeah.
somebody has to take a breath, that's fine. You can change the subject. But we need to gradually reintroduce the ability to communicate with each other. And it's not going to be necessarily quick, but it was like,
Or
oh,
easy
you
with
know
the
what?
mental health, with the kind of mental and
Yeah,
hygiene
but
we
not
have.
not everybody is,
Going to be up
completely
for
off
that.
tracker. And I've been thinking about how to have this conversation with my friend in another state who is, she lives in California. It's like, I can't pretend that I don't have a big chunk of my life that is not that's, you know,
Yeah.
involved in, I can't pretend that this part of my life doesn't exist. But it's like, well, I can talk about Connecticut politics to somebody in another state. What do they care?
Right.
I can talk about my state. I can talk about, you want to talk politics? Talk about what's happening in your town. Find out what's happening in your town. Talk about that, you know?
This collectivism is scary. Where people just also that nobody can talk about this. Like it's so weird.
That's not okay. We have to change that.
Not okay at
Like
all.
break that part of the
Just
system.
that
Just say
phenomenon,
racism.
just that human phenomena altogether scares me. The idea that people is like this. I always had this feeling that if you were to have this listening device and you listen to all the households across Connecticut at once, like there'd be 2 million different conversations going on that are all wild and crazy. But now it's like, is it really possible that this wave of it's almost like a disease? Oh, nobody wants to say this anymore. Nobody wants to say that
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
That's weird. That's scary.
Hmm.
Really is. But I don't know.
Well,
Are we there?
that's why freedom of speech is so important. And yeah, I
That's
think,
right. That's absolutely right.
yeah. So, all right, yeah, we're there. So,
Why don't you take
happy
us out? It's been a good show.
it's been a good show. Happy weekend, everybody, and God bless Connecticut and God bless America. And may we all meet again soon. And yeah,
Common Sense News Entertainment. Bye, everybody.
bye bye.